Welcome to this explainer. We're right in the middle of a massive shift in the tech industry today. We're going to explore exactly why the traditional rules of tech careers have fundamentally changed, and much more importantly, how you can adapt to stay ahead of the curve. Okay, let's dive right in.
It's totally the elephant in the room right now, isn't it? If artificial intelligence can just generate syntax, optimize scripts, and handle the pure mechanics of coding, where does your actual value lie? For the longest time, building software was gated by technical syntax. But as that barrier to entry drops, hiding behind your code is simply no longer an option. The new differentiator? It's human alignment.
To navigate this, we're going to walk through a really clear three-part roadmap. First, we'll look at the big picture, the translation layer. Second, we'll learn a framework for reading the human API. And finally, we'll break down the communication formula.
All right, part one, the big picture, the translation layer.
Think about how things used to be. In the old era, your core value was tied directly to your ability to write code or draft a really rigid product document. You could just hand the specs to an engineering team and wait for the build. But in the new era, value equals human alignment. The real magic happens when you step out from behind those architecture diagrams and bridge that messy, complicated gap between complex business problems and elegant technical solutions.
And that brings us to an absolutely crucial concept. The translation layer. This is the highest value space you can possibly operate in today. It's that vital, critical space between what a client says they want and what they actually need to solve their problem. Operating in the translation layer means you aren't just an order taker anymore. You're a strategic partner translating human anxiety and business goals into a technical reality.
Okay, moving to part two, the framework, reading the human API.
So, we know we need to align humans, but how do we actually do that systematically? Well, think of it like this. Just as you wouldn't write code without reading the documentation, you shouldn't communicate without reading the human API. It's a systematic way to approach people. Before any major conversation, you've got to ask yourself, who am I talking to? What do their words actually mean? And most importantly, what are their hidden fears that could totally derail our project?
Let's make this super tangible with a real-world scenario. Imagine we're deploying an AI-powered patient scheduling tool across a massive healthcare network. It's a brilliant piece of technology, for sure, but to actually get it deployed, we have to successfully navigate four very distinct business personas. Let's meet them.
First up, we have the champion. In our hospital scenario, this might be the chief medical officer. They're an enthusiastic visionary. They see the big picture and want this AI rollout to succeed because, honestly, it looks great for the hospital and for their own career. But be careful. They're often easily overwhelmed by the nitty-gritty details. They don't need you to sell them on the idea. They need you to structure and prioritize the execution for them.
Next is the sponsor. Think of the hospital CFO. This is the person who writes the checks. They are measured, diplomatic, and rarely take political sides. Now, what's really interesting about the sponsor is their core focus, ROI. They aren't interested in the novelty of the AI, they strictly want to know the financial metrics. Does this save money? Does it increase efficiency? With the sponsor, you've got to show them the math.
Then there's the end user. These are the frontline nurses and admin staff. They might be curious, sure, but their hidden fear is vulnerability and loss of livelihood. If you walk into a room and pitch complete automation, you're going to trigger massive alarm bells, because all they hear is you are being replaced. To build trust here, you must frame your technology as augmentation, a tool designed to make their daily lives easier, not a replacement.
Finally, we face the blocker. In a healthcare network, this is usually the IT compliance head. Their ultimate fear is losing control over security and regulations. They have the power to completely veto the whole shebang, and dangerously, they're often left out of the initial kickoff meetings. You can never, ever ignore the blocker. You have to actively seek them out before they derail your timeline.
So how do we handle this mixed bag of people? Well, this trust agreement matrix dictates exactly how you should adapt your communication style, based on where a stakeholder sits. Your champion has high trust and high agreement, so you can be directive with them. Do this, approve that. But look at the blocker at the bottom. Low trust, low agreement. You absolutely cannot ram a solution down their throat, and you can't just educate them out of their compliance concerns. You have to be deeply collaborative.
The crucial point to take away from the human API is this. You must change your communication style based on who you speak to, not just what you're saying. Trying to argue with a blocker using pure logic or technical superiority, it's going to fail every single time. You have to collaborate with them, validate their fears, and genuinely ask how they would design the safety protocols.
All right, that brings us to part three, the bigger idea,
the communication formula. Once you know who you're talking to, how do you actually structure your reports or your emails to drive immediate action? You use this incredibly powerful three-step formula. Number 1, what? This is the raw data or the fact. Number 2, so what? This translates that raw data into contextual meaning tailored perfectly for the persona you're addressing. And number 3, now what? The precise next action you want them to take. Because a raw fact floating on its own, it's pretty much useless.
Let's look at this formula in action. Take the exact same data point, an AI accuracy rate of 84%. To your champion, you say, the AI is 84% accurate. This means we can safely launch phase 2. Now please approve the budget. But to your blocker, you say, the AI is 84% accurate, which means we're keeping 16% strictly for human review. Let's sit down and design that safety protocol together. The raw data is identical, but the translation literally dictates whether your project gets greenlit or shut down.
And here is a golden rule when using this formula. Always lead with the so what, never lead with the how. When you're standing in front of business stakeholders, they care about the business outcomes, the ROI, and the impact on their daily lives. They do not care about the Python scripts, or the context caching, or the specific algorithms you used under the hood. Sell the outcome, not the architecture.
Which brings us to our final takeaway, and it's a big one. Success in AI is a game of alignment, not just accuracy. As the barrier to building technology continues to vanish, your ultimate career differentiator won't just be the code you write. It's going to be your ability to read the human API, operate in that translation layer, and build genuine trust. So, think about your current projects right now. Who is the blocker you haven't spoken to yet? Thanks for joining me on this explainer today, and I really challenge you to get out there and start translating.